Welcome back to the Marathon Mortgage Happy Hour. I'm Mike Witzak.
I am Rory Farrell, special guest today.
Gina Farruggio.
Hey.
Of?
Keller Williams.
All right.
Hey.
You gotta plug the brokerage too.
Yes, I do.
So, and Newtown, yeah?
Newtown.
Up that way? Cool. Mm-hmm. All right, up by my way.
Bucks County.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
The best county. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much for coming in. We love having realtors come in and just to hear your story and your background, how you got into it, and then also what you're into outside of real estate.
So I don't.
Oh, hold on.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Let's
crack a beer open
first. Yeah.
So we're gonna do a sequence ale today. We did a sour a couple weeks ago with Tim, and it was a more traditional sour.
I was going to ask, this isn't a sour, this is an ale? I feel lied to.
You learned nothing over the past year.
I feel lied to.
All right, so it is a sour. Okay, so sour, what makes an ale is the ale yeast that they use. Sour yeast is different than ale yeast, and it's different than lager yeast. Okay, so
I have learned something.
But it's a mild sour. So the sour that we had with Tim Garrity the other day is more of like a traditional bottled aged. It's going to be more puckery. This is going to be a little bit more mellow because it's more of a commercial. They sell it everywhere. So It's a great beach beer. It's going to be a little reminiscent of margaritas, which I know he likes.
I love margaritas.
Okay, cool. Let's see how it goes. This is brewed by Dogfish Head with lime juice, lime peel, black limes, and sea salt. So
cool.
All right.
Let's give it a whirl. I'm not going to lie. I had one the other day. I took 2 of them out of the fridge.
Oh, really?
Got it?
So you already like it?
Yeah, it's all right.
Michael?
I don't know if I've ever had a sour.
It's interesting.
You want to hand me down yours? And Dogfish Head is, they're out of Delaware. They're one of like the first craft breweries in the country to like really push limits. And they make all types of weird beers. They have even gone back and looked at recipes from like ancient Egypt and like tried to recreate it. And so they're funky and weird.
They're
cool.
interesting. I was actually just having this conversation with the Stoop Gang. Shout out to Stoop Gang.
Lower 29?
The Lower 29s yesterday about Dogfish Head and how they were like one of the first ever to do craft beer and really like innovate.
Do it well and do it big.
Do the whole industry. And then the guy was saying, he's like, they kind of just like fell off after a while. Like they stopped doing
fall
what
off.
They
They still are one of the biggest ones in the country. They just, there's so much more competition.
Yeah.
And then if you're really into craft, then you're probably not going with the bigger brands like Dogfish Head. You're like trying to get like the super small micro things that you can get at your little corner store.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but
well, cheers.
All right. Cheers. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah. Cheers.
That's the extent of our beer talk most of the time.
There you go.
You get a lot of lime on that nose.
Sure, dude.
I like it.
It's not overly sour. You definitely get that salt.
it's
Like
good.
it almost has like a dehydrating taste to it.
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna have to fake liking it. I actually like it.
Good.
Good. We
Makes me
aim
happy.
to please.
Yeah,
here.
it's good.
No, it's definitely different,
What's
but
the alcohol content?
it's probably low, 4.2, 5.2,
okay.
something like that. If I had to guess, I'd say.
I like it.
4.9. I was right in the middle there. Mm-hmm. So, all right. Shout out Dogfish Head. Thank you for the beer. And let's get into it. So you started talking about how you got into the business. How long have you been in it?
Yep.
I mean, you've probably seen a couple fun trends over the past couple of years.
I've been in it 21 years.
Okay.
First house I bought, Tom was my mortgage person. Poor Tom.
We got a lot of stories like that.
I worked at Goldman Sachs at the time, private wealth management, and had my first child, and decided I didn't want to work that much, right, in the city, and put him in daycare. So I quit, and then thought I could be like a stay-at-home mom, but then we were very, very poor, and I'm like, I can't do that. So I'm like, I could probably sell real estate. It wasn't that hard, right?
Okay.
So, and all the realtors I had met in my transaction were not really great. They were not good.
So that was your impetus. That you were like, you didn't have someone who like kind of guided you into it, or you're like, what can I do that's kind of like on my own schedule and looks easy?
I did it because it was flexible, and I figured if that's my competition, the benchmark's not high. I should probably be able to make some money at it.
True.
So, but then I got into it, and there was a lot of really, really good realtors. I just didn't happen upon them when I started my search for my first home.
Yeah.
So whatever. So 21 years, I'm still selling real estate. I still work with Tom. I'm licensed in PA and New Jersey.
Saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I do residential. I do commercial. I do investments.
What do you prefer, one over the other?
Mm,
It's one more lucrative.
I don't know. Like residential's fun, and I make friends with people.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
good. But there's a lot of emotion involved when you're selling residential.
Yeah.
Commercials, just business. It's
Yeah.
like no nonsense. So it's much easier. They take longer to close though. So I don't know.
Interesting.
Well, it's good to be well-rounded and be able to pull from each one of
Yeah,
those
yeah, yeah,
avenues of
for sure.
income and experience. And
Yeah.
It just helps. I mean, it helps stay busy when things are
sure.
slow, especially in an economy like this.
Yeah.
So and I was gonna ask too. You were talking about these like good realtors you don't run into until you're really into industry, and
Yeah.
like now being around 20 plus years, like you're one of those good realtors. You know. It must
Yeah,
be.
yeah.
Is it like a? Have you ever thought about that? Like to think, hey, I've been in this for 22 years. Most realtors don't even last 3 years. You know, or
I haven't thought about that because it makes me feel very old, but it's true. It's true though.
very true. Yeah.
And a lot of the realtors that I work with, you know, you have your top 10%, and they're the ones you do deals with all the time.
Yeah,
over
you
and
get to
over.
know
so
them.
they're the ones that you really work a lot with. You know them.
they're the ones who've probably been in the industry as long as you have. Too,
Yes.
So you have a history.
And does
been
it
through
make
the same
you
things?
does it make you nervous when you get a contract and you haven't seen this person's name before?
Yes, I will look them up. I will see if they've done any transactions in the last year. I will call someone I know in that office and be like, who is this person?
Yeah.
Like, I just want to know if I'm going to close, right? If I
Yeah.
can trust them to get the deal done.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure that plays into a lot with the lender too, right?
I'm sure you do the same thing
Oh,
with
with
the lender.
Yeah, I definitely call the lender.
Yeah. Interesting.
And I'm like, how much due diligence have you done before you gave this pre-approval? So
We do that constantly. Like even when our buyers agents are putting in offers, like, let me have the listing agent's number, or like, do you mind if I call the listing agent? Because even if they don't say, hey, can you do it? It's like I want to go that extra mile because they may not know me.
Well, yeah.
They may know Marathon, they may know Tom, but I'm gonna go that extra step
Yeah.
to be like, because I feel like so much of our value is in being proactive and being detail oriented and
100%.
efficient and likable and like making that call.
Yep.
100%.
So that they get to know I'm a real person and not just some guy
Yeah.
out in Akron, Ohio from Quicken.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
and we're getting, as a listing agent, I'm getting like 10, 12 offers for every listing. You can't, you got to weed through them, and you don't want to pick the wrong one, and then you get the wrong lender, and then you're all sitting there staring at each other at the closing table, like, where's the friggin' money?
Yeah.
Is it hard to convince your sellers or hard to impart on them like how important a lender is? Like when they're like, well, they're offering 10 grand more or whatever. Like, do they get that or
They get it.
they do? Okay.
Yeah.
So now, in my mind, I'm not a realtor, but I would think being on the listing side is the gold mine right now. That's where you want to be. Hey, I want to be a listing agent.
In general, you
In
want to be a
general.
listing agent.
So, what is the difficulties with being a listing agent, though? Is it sifting through all of these offers and saying, hey, this is probably your best offer, and kind of saying, hey, trust me, we'll get this done for this? Is that what the nerve-wracking part
It
is?
is nerve-wracking because you'll narrow it down to like 2 or 3, and then they're like, what do you think? And I'm like, I don't know. I think you should go with A, and they're like, okay, and then if that backfires, it's like, you told me to go with that person.
We're very,
So, it's
we're kind of
hard.
similar in that too. We're like, oh, should we lock? Should we not lock? You're like, well, I can't tell you exactly what to do, but if it were me, because no one's got a crystal ball, you
Right.
gotta, but that comes with 21 years of experience.
Yeah.
And hey, I've seen this happen before. Like, this is what I would do.
Yeah.
And as long as you pitch it the right way, hopefully, and you've built the relationship with the seller,
Yeah.
hopefully.
And they don't always listen. Like, I'll tell them to take a cash deal that might be 10,000 less than the finance deal, but I know it's definitely going to close. There's not an issue.
Yeah.
Because then, we'll have hiccups with appraisal or inspections or
Yeah.
whatever. And then they're like, shit, I should have taken the
Yeah.
cash deal.
Yeah.
you're
At the end of the day, it's $10,000. It is a lot when you're looking at just the $10,000, but when you're looking at $700,000, 10 grand, you're like, all right,
it's
I'll
like,
take the lower deal. To
I don't
make sure
know.
it's
Or
done.
maybe to throw it back on the market for another 60 days or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
That's 2 more.
Yeah.
2 more mortgage payments. You just spent $10,000.
Yeah, you don't want to put it back on the market.
Yeah.
No.
Or call the next offer or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe they say, oh,
I would
well,
call the next offer
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So over 22 years of doing this, do you think, has there ever been a market like this one that you've experienced, or is it just all kind of the same to you?
It's pretty crazy. I keep thinking we're going to the prices are going to stop rising, and they haven't. And it's pretty crazy. It's shocking to me. I'm mad because I sold 2 great properties down in Ocean City, December and February of 2020. like right before COVID.
Two of your personal properties?
No, but like for an investor,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And at the time it was like a good deal. But then after COVID and the lockdowns, like shit went through the roof. And I'm like, God,
We
were
were
looking-
looking though. Like
you don't know,
yeah,
right? It could have gone down. You don't know. It could have gone either way.
COVID
but
is the perfect example of you cannot predict any market ever because
No.
who was going to say, hey, by the way, there's going to be this global pandemic that's going to, destroy the entire economy. But for whatever reason, house prices are going to go through the roof. And
I mean,
Yeah.
insane.
yeah.
Insane.
I was telling him for years we were looking in Brigantine, and I mean, back then, this is back right prior to COVID, maybe a year or two prior to COVID, and we just kind of sat and we're like, oh, there's so many properties available. They're all affordable. Like, and then next thing you know, they were not affordable and they were not available. It was like,
Gone.
boom, out of nowhere.
And now in Brigantine, from the roundabout, I don't know if you've ever been to Brigantine,
I
but
have.
from the roundabout all the way down to like 14th Street, there's nothing under 1.2 million.
Yeah, you looked the other day.
Yeah, I look like almost every day just to be like, oh, what's going on for sale in Brigantine? Nothing.
Because
Nothing.
even those little bungalows that were $300,000-$400,000 are now
I know.
bought up, knocked down, and
Yep.
rebuilt over the past 2-3 years. And they're
And if there
1 to 2
are,
mil.
there's like however many bungalows that are left on Brigantine. Those ones that go up for sale are $800,000-$900,000.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know.
And they still
Wow.
need to be knocked down.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
nightmare.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, real estate is, in hindsight, 2020. Like, you should have bought it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I've been
That's what
doing
they say,
this
it's always
since
better.
03 and I could kill myself. Like LBI, there were so many properties that I'm like, they're nuts. 400,000 for that dump. And it was like 2 houses in from the beach.
Yep.
Yeah, my parent.
I should have bought it. How'd I know, right?
My in-laws bought a place in LBI in like the, I'd say 90s for like 120,000, and they look at it now, and they had to sell it to put their kids through college, all that. But they look at it now, and nothing's really been done. It's sitting on a double lot. It's worth like 1 point.
Right.
You know,
That's what
whatever.
I mean. It's nuts.
And it's like
Ocean
nothing.
City used to be affordable. It's not anymore. You can't get anything in Ocean City under 900.
Oh, I don't think there is an affordable beach town anymore.
Well, Wildwood, I would say, was still like affordable, but even that's going through the roof.
yeah, there's no.
They're not
But like
making more.
Brigantine was affordable, Wildwood, Ocean City was median, but not now.
Yep, that's wild.
Yeah, it's absurd.
Like if you bought a place in 2019 and you had it now, you would have like 39% increase in your equity
Yep.
right now.
It's crazy.
That's not
Shoulda, coulda,
normal
woulda.
for real estate.
No, not at all.
And I've been through it all since '03. I've been through the mortgage crisis in '08. Well, '03 was like the .com, right?
Bubble, yeah, right after the
Bubble.
dot-com bubble. Yep.
So I dealt with that. I dealt with the mortgage meltdown. Then what else was there?
COVID. And then,
Prices kind of flatlined in our area in Bucks County, I would say through like 2009 to 2015, 16. Then they started going up again.
We bought in 2016.
Yeah.
In Doylestown.
Yeah, but they never really went down. They kind of
No.
just flattened in our area.
And now we couldn't afford to live.
I know. I would sell my house today if I had somewhere else to
Somewhere
go.
else to go, yeah.
I
Maybe
don't
an
know.
island somewhere.
Yeah.
Favorite place, like favorite. Well, let's start out. Let's favorite town in Bucks County.
It used to be Newtown, but I grew up in Newtown, so I'm partial to Newtown.
okay.
But I feel like it's way overdeveloped now.
Okay.
But I shouldn't say that. Edit that out because
No.
people love Newtown,
Yeah.
and I sell in
I mean,
Newtown.
it is
That's like where I sell.
Yeah, yeah.
That's everywhere.
Yeah.
But I grew up in Newtown. My dad grew up in Newtown. My grandmother grew up in Newtown.
So you have roots.
So like
You
there
have
was,
to say Newtown then.
yeah. I mean, there was like one traffic light when my dad grew up. There was no one in Newtown.
Wow.
Yeah, they used to bury cars when they were bored in the summer. They would sit around and like smoke cigarettes and drink beer and like bury cars. So I
Say,
Like full size cars.
so I remember this house sold
That
on.
sounds like something you would do in the mountains.
Well, that's what I was about to say. There still is one stoplight in the town I grew up
Yeah,
in.
so you know, right? So in the on Court Street, this house sold, and he says to me, he's like, "Hey, I wonder if that Chevy truck's still in the backyard we buried." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, we sat around one summer, we just dug a hole and pushed the truck in it." And I'm like, "Oh my God." So sure enough, like later I was talking to the listing agent who
Trying to
had
put a
sold that
pool in.
house, and I'm like, "Hey, how's that house going?" She's like, "You're not going to believe it. The new buyers are suing the sellers for non-disclosure." I'm like, "For what?" And she's like, "They went to dig up the backyard for a pool, and they found a Chevy truck."
Well, how would they know?
And they're blaming the sellers they knew. And I'm like, "Well, I knew." She's like, "What? You knew?" I'm like, "Well, my dad mentioned it, but I didn't know it was still there." And
Yeah,
she's
how would
like
you know
all
that?
mad. Yeah.
Oh my
It's so
god.
funny. That's what I said.
That's
As soon as you're like, oh, they're putting a pool in.
Yeah. The pool was the
I have so many other questions. Whose truck was it? Where'd it come from?
I know, like who knows? They used to do crazy stuff. They
There's no internet back there.
They hogtied the chief of police one year. They were having a party and he was like a total jerk. They hated this guy. And he showed up and he told them all to like get off the farm they were partying at. And they were like, okay. And they hogtied him and threw him in the trunk of his own cruiser and left him there.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, you didn't get in
go to
trouble?
jail?
And they're like, no, it was like, what was it, like 1950 something? Like,
Yeah.
he was too embarrassed to tell anyone he got hogtied by a bunch of
that is true.
teenagers.
It's true.
That would be a hard press conference.
Can
to
you
have.
imagine?
We're
Yeah,
arresting these 4 gentlemen.
Yeah.
I mean, Newtown used to be crazy. Crazy.
Wow. 1950s is when your dad was growing up when he was like a teenager. Yeah, so that was a little bit of different times.
Yeah.
Do a lot more stuff.
I mean, he used to drop me off at Ned's Cigar Store on State Street, taking me to school. And I was like in 2nd grade. He gave me $1.50. I'd have to get the paper and a pack of Marlboro Reds. And I'd go in, I get them, I get back in the car, we'd go to school. Like,
Split a cigarette.
$1.50 for a pack of Cowboys.
yeah.
Is crazy.
I mean, you don't do that. And the paper.
Wow.
What's
like
the paper?
Newspaper.
What's that?
Yeah, right. What is a newspaper, right?
Yeah.
The Courier Times. I'd have to go and get the Courier Times, right, and a pack of cigs.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's cool about, I mean, obviously there's a reason why Newtown's gotten developed. It's beautiful, and obviously there's some industry there. But with that 295 now, it's like you can shoot down to Philly so fast.
Oh, yeah.
It's like so we live in Doylestown, and it's that extra 25, 30 minutes to get to there. It's
I
like
know.
it's prohibitive. Like I rarely go to Philly now, like for concerts and shows. Like it has to be like a night out. Whereas there, you're
Yep.
like, boom, right
I
on.
know.
You can go have dinner there pretty easily.
When
That's
people,
a really nice feature.
I know when people tell me they have to commute to New York or Philly, I'm like, you don't want to look in Doylestown.
No.
But they do want to look in Doylestown because they love Doylestown. They love the idea of Doylestown. But I'm
Yeah.
like, you're going to hate that commute. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
We say it all the time. We're like, we're close to everything. We're far from everything.
Yep.
Like, you can get to New York in, an hour and a half if there's no
Right.
traffic. You can get to Philly in an hour and 10. Like we fly out of Newark more than we fly out of Philly.
Well,
it's
yeah,
like,
I would too.
You can, but it's like everything's an hour at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah.
You are smack dab in the middle of everything.
Yeah,
Shoot out the
Newtown's
light.
great. I mean, it's like 10 minutes for me to get to Jersey. It's 30 minutes to get to the airport, 30 minutes to get to Center City. It's an hour on the train to New York. I'm 10 minutes from the train station to New York.
Yeah.
And like most beaches, we're close to the beaches too.
Yeah.
Point Pleasant is under an hour, door to
Yeah.
door. Point Pleasant.
Like Belmar, Point Pleasant, that
Yeah.
whole part of Jersey.
I
Yeah.
know.
I mean, even for us in Doylestown, it's like an hour and 15 to get to Belmar.
I know. I need to sell more down there. I sell more South Jersey, like
That's
I
where
would
we
say
grew up going.
Ventnor down through Cape May I sell, but
Yeah.
Shout out Ventnor.
It's funny, like I don't know. I
Pleasant's
mean, I
better.
grew up in North Wales. Like I don't know why my parents didn't just go to the closer beaches, but it's because of the tradition. Like they grew up in Philly, and like everyone went to South Jersey. Wow,
they did.
So that's just where they kept going.
I grew up going LBI. That's where my parents
Okay,
went.
so even
yeah.
that's a little bit more north than what we're talking
Oh
about.
yeah,
But
for sure.
Belmar's so close. Point Pleasant, Asbury, like so.
And again, I should have bought in Point Pleasant 10 years ago.
Yeah. I should
Shoulda,
have been
coulda,
buying.
woulda.
I should have been buying 10 years ago when I was 14.
Yeah, you should have.
Yeah.
Should have got all your.
I
investment
thought about
properties.
buying condos in West Virginia like years ago, just
That
to
would
rent
be-
them out to students. But now I could have done and saved myself a lot of money.
Room and
Both
board.
kids going there. They could have been
Yeah.
in state.
That's what they always say, like that rich dad, poor dad, like all those guys. Those are like it's all hindsight. You're like, oh yeah, every time you have a kid, buy a house in the college town that
Yeah.
they're going to be in, and then rent it out to them and their friends,
Yeah.
and then keep it. It's like, yeah, I mean, in hindsight, that's a great.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
You need a lot of money and you need some foresight for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
Yeah, if anyone's looking to buy a fraternity house, there's one for sale. Morgantown.
Ah, there you go.
are you licensed in West Virginia?
No.
No, just
But I could refer
refer
it.
it out.
Yeah.
we can get
Make a little on
referral.
the
Yeah,
back
yeah,
end there. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on now.
In 1987, it sold for 170, and now it's listed for 2.5 million.
Oh my god.
And it
Not
looks
bad.
exactly the same. It has not improved.
I was gonna
No,
say
no.
that with that basement
I don't
probably.
think a frat house ever improves. I think it's
No,
just-
it does.
Yeah.
It does. I know.
They just put paint over the walls and
I know.
Yeah.
I showed my daughter her dorm room when we were there for orientation. She almost started crying, like in a panic. No air conditioning.
These young kids
It
these
looked
days.
exactly the same. What a dump. It was a dump when I lived there.
My father-in-law just
crazy.
went to it. I think it was like his 50th college reunion, and they went and stayed in the dorms. And I'm like, and they're like all big dudes now. They're in
Yeah.
their 70s, like just big. And I'm like, did they still have like the single bed? He's like, yeah, we slept in the single beds.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh, how are your backs? You old men.
Yeah.
They're like golfing the next day. I'm like, how did that go?
Like, why did they want to do that?
I guess nostalgia.
No,
I don't
okay.
know.
Yeah.
Sneaking 30 racks into the
Yeah,
dorm
right.
rooms. I'm like, you don't have to sneak them
Yeah.
anymore. You're 70.
We used to roll kegs down the hallway in my dorm.
We
And
used to sneak them in through the windows on the first floor. And, yeah. Oh college is great.
Too good.
He didn't get a real college experience. He went to Penn State, but it was during COVID.
Really
missed
happened
that.
like 2 years in, so it was like, I don't know. I also didn't really have to do any college work.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
It's very true.
A lot of us didn't have to do college work though.
That's yeah.
Also
If you're
true.
smart, you don't really do college.
Also true. Yeah. Yeah. I did. I mean, I went out to Maine the year after I graduated. A lot of my friends were a year younger.
Yeah.
So I would still go out to Maine like on the weekends and go party and stuff, which was great. But it was just a totally different experience.
What year did you go there?
I graduated in 2007.
I was
God, I'm
8.
so old.
Well, it's all comparative, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel old.
Were you
compared to
there
him.
for the football pedophilia? When was that?
It was right after, I
That
think.
was right after. he
yeah.
graduated, Yeah. That was like.
I mean, it was going on, I'm sure, while it was
Yeah. That was like 2011.
I couldn't remember.
Yeah, it was right after I graduated. So
That was good times.
I had to throw shade.
I know.
I felt that.
I know.
I knew what we were
West
doing
Virginia
there.
girl here.
Yeah.
You can throw shade on Bob Huggins, but I feel like he's a hero. It doesn't matter.
I don't even know who Bob Huggins is.
He's the basketball coach. He got arrested for DUI in Pittsburgh, but when he was arrested, he thought he was in Ohio. That's how drunk he was.
Well, that's par for the course
Yeah.
for West Virginia, right?
West Virginia.
DUIs
for
and drunkenness.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's,
Oh, Penn State's known for that. West Virginia's known for drinking.
yeah. Penn State's not known for that. We just ignore that period.
You can
of our
edit that out too.
history. Yeah.
What do you? So, one of the things that we know in our industry is a lot of loan officers are kind of getting out of the industry. It's probably very similar to that with the realtors too. Like, are you seeing that in real time? Like, are you?
I mean,
Like,
I
what's your
haven't
thoughts on the
seen
future?
anyone that I personally know getting out of real estate yet.
Probably because your peers have been in it for so long. and
We've
are
been in it for so
successful. Yeah.
long, but there's a lot of concern with the NAR settlement where real estate is going and realtors' relevance rather. I don't know. We got to see how it shakes out. I don't know. None of it makes sense from the lawsuit that I saw and read. It like, I don't know. And I don't understand California law versus PA or Jersey. Like in PA, it's very black and white. Like, the commission you're paying up front. It's transparent. I don't understand the class action suit saying nobody knew what the commission was or it was fraudulent.
It just seems like no matter who you talk to, no matter how deep into the industry or not, everyone's kind of like, I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
So I guess
So we'll
Yeah.
see. I mean,
But I think the important part is that the people who have been in it for a long time, who have been conducting business the right way from the get-go and transparent and all that, will probably be fine.
yeah, like I don't really think it's going to affect us here that much. I'm worried about the narrative on the media
Sure,
telling
it's always
people
that.
they don't have to pay a buyer's agent anymore.
Yeah.
And then, well, like, who's going to show your
Yeah.
house, Mr. Seller? Like, no one's doing that for free.
Yeah, we had like a similar situation with like the loan level pricing adjustments on the media where
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, oh yeah, this is gonna ruin the mortgage industry and this is all messed up and they can't be doing it. In reality, like to us, we had already been dealing with it 3 months prior to them airing all these news stories, and we were like, it hasn't done anything.
I forgot that was funny because the ruling started on, I forget what it was, like March
February.
1st.
I think it was literally February or March.
But
yeah.
since January, the lenders were already knowing this is coming and pricing them accordingly. So all of a sudden, like all these people were like, March 1st, everything's gonna change. You're like, actually, it's been changing and you guys haven't noticed.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So it's
And
fine.
now no one even remembers.
Yeah, nobody
Yeah.
even talks about it.
Blip on
Brings
the
it up.
radar of the
Yeah.
the news
Yeah.
cycle.
That's
Yeah,
how
it's
I
a
feel the
news
same way with this settlement. Like I mean I have no idea how it's gonna go. I'm not a realtor. It doesn't like it obviously affects me because I'm in the business. But
Yeah.
it's like I think I'm hoping it's just one of those things where it's like, oh hey, nobody seems to care. We just call the listing agent and they tell us what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. And they want the buyers to pay their own commission.
Yeah,
But it's like
Not my buyers.
buyers don't really have that kind of money,
Yeah.
and they're not going to finance it. So it's like,
Yeah.
how's that going to work?
Yeah. So we'll see. But
yeah, and you always could have done that too. Like you always could have said, "Hey, I don't want to pay the commission."
Of course,
and
yeah.
I want the buyers to pay the commission. It's like it doesn't really work that way
Yeah.
now. What make I don't know, but
I've had sellers push back on commission and negotiate it, and it's just that's the way it is.
it was funny. We were looking at, because someone put together a list of all the new listings and what their commissions were. And Tom even was like, I never realized it like varied that much from listing to listing. And it's like, it's because it's negotiable, right?
I
Like,
mean, I don't know what were you seeing that it
he was saying
varied?
anywhere from 2, 2.5, 2.7, 3. Like, I guess his thought was like, oh, I just always paid 3. I always just assumed it was
Yeah.
3. And
Yeah.
maybe that's because you never pushed back. But
Yeah, I've seen it between 2.5 and 3. I've never really seen it lower.
Sure,
than that.
yeah.
But,
yeah,
but-
lower.
like a
Yeah, no.
standard.
But like a for sale by owner would do lower, right? They would try
Yeah.
to do lower.
But I mean,
But a lot of for sale by owners also don't sell. They end up listing.
Exactly.
eventually,
Eventually,
so,
yeah. But who am I? I'm just a co-host of
We don't-
Marathon Mortgage Happy Hour,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So,
I'm a nobody.
yeah.
More importantly, co-host, not as
Yeah.
much loan officers.
Yeah.
That's our first gig.
So what are some crazy mortgage stories that you have? Any crazy clients?
Yeah. I'm,
Before you voice them, are any of my clients one of the crazy stories?
no,
Okay.
no, I'm dealing with one right now, but
Yeah.
oh my
You can't speak to it yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't
We'll
speak
wait.
to that one yet. I don't know. I mean, we've definitely had a lot of insane stories. One that just like pops in my head immediately was that one where Tom had. I mean, maybe no, I don't think you were involved in this one, but
Tell me and I'll tell you if I
it was
Yeah.
a two. They were buying one property, nice finished house on it, and there was a house on the same plot that they were selling to them for like $1, and the house wasn't like really, it needed some work, but it would have been worth like, you know, a couple $100,000 fixed up. But they were like, hey, take this house for $1, sell you the other house for the regular price. So they're getting two houses for like the price of one. Is it ringing a bell at all or anything?
No,
or
not
yeah.
mine.
So anyway, I guess they had gone to settlement. It was the day of settlement, and he called and was just like, I don't want the house. And we're like, what?
Who, the buyer said this?
Yeah. And then Tom's like, what do you mean you don't want the
Yeah.
house?
They find
What
out
do
there's
you
a truck buried or
mean?
something?
Yeah, no, yeah, there's a
Yeah,
there's a truck buried where they're
Callback.
gonna put the
Yeah.
pool. It was over. Yeah, no, and he's just like, yeah, they could keep my deposit. I don't want it. And then just like bailed out last minute. I was like,
That was
"Whoa."
it?
That's an option.
That's it. And then yeah, that's it.
Huh.
He just like bailed out.
How much
mean, it's
was
always-
the deposit?
Oh no, I think it was a pretty solid
wasn't
deposit.
nothing.
It wasn't none.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
so-
always those settlement stories. Like, those are the most intense. You're like, oh, you lost your job yesterday? That's good to know.
Cool,
Or
yeah.
like, oh, we found out that you have child support that,
Yeah.
that your partner didn't know about, and it
Yeah.
came up
That's
with the settlement
happened.
deal. Yeah.
That's happened.
Those are the things that are always like the most stressful things.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like, some of those things can be rectified at the table, some of them, but it's always
Yeah.
awkward.
I mean, I emphasize 100 times, don't buy anything before closing. Don't buy furniture.
Yeah.
Don't buy a car.
Yeah.
Don't charge a vacation. Like, I can't tell you how many times I tell people and they still do it. And then they're all flustered when it's like time to close and they're not getting the money. And they're like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Why can't
You gotta-
we?
Camera shuts off at
Oh.
9 minutes
I
unless we
gotcha.
lose the rest of it. We've reached.
No, I do. Technology's moved pretty fast. When I was like 9 years old, I
yeah,
wanted
your
one of those.
lifetime is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. When I was like 6, 7, my parents had the walkie-talkie Nextels.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, the chitter, I love those things. And then it went right from that to like Blackberries, and then from Blackberries to iPhones, and then iPhones just took over the world, and that was over.
I used to love my BlackBerry.
Yeah, you could still.
Was that Goldman Sachs era? Yep.
Goldman
That's
Sachs.
those
That
are the
was-
people that used to have those.
Yeah, investment bankers and their Blackberries. Yeah, for sure. That's
a
what
badge.
I just like. Yeah, it's a badge of honor. I think honestly, I've thought about it. Like, you could still get a BlackBerry and use a BlackBerry. And I'm like, it actually would probably help my life drastically if I didn't have access to everything all at once.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, if I
Yeah.
just had a BlackBerry and like was able to text and call still, but then at the end of the day, like if I needed to upload stuff on Instagram or do that, like I can go on my computer and do it, but
Yeah.
I don't have access to that everywhere. I've thought about it. I was like, oh, that's not a bad idea.
It's distracting. It is.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, even if you're using it for quote unquote good, like today I was like, we have 2 screens. So I've, my work going here, then your email, and then your phone. And then,
Yep.
I mean, we do so much with Instagram and YouTube. It's like literally like 5 or 6 outlets, and every realtor prefers different things, right?
Yep.
Like, so I might be getting texts from somebody, I might be getting DMs from somebody, I might be getting emails from somebody, someone's calling in. It's like, it's really hard to, like,
It's hard.
Yeah.
And
And then
then
as much as you're coordinated and staying focused and organized, it's like, you can't help a phone call coming in.
Yeah.
No.
And then on top of it, I'm like, let me check Instagram. Real quick. I'm going to reach out to this realtor on Instagram. And then I go on Instagram, and then I'm like 17 reels deep on Instagram. I'm like,
Yeah,
scrolling,
yeah,
like,
me too.
Yo, what the fuck? I'm like, what just happened?
I
I'm like,
know.
oh shit, let me message this person. I'll message them. Yeah, it's
I
just
know.
a pain.
Or I'll be all talking to someone, I'll look something up for them, and then I'm like online shopping. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how it happened.
Yeah.
I don't know how
My
I get
cart's
there. Yeah.
$300
I know.
deep.
And my kids, like during COVID, they were supposed to work from home. I'd go upstairs and check on them. One's laying in bed watching like a video, like a movie. The laptop's on across the room where the teacher's talking to a black screen.
Yep.
I'm like, this is not working.
Do you ever utilize your kids to help with like your online persona, Instagram, stuff like that? Would
I've tried.
No, they're
like,
not into it.
Not into it.
Yeah.
I mean, they do it for. She does. My daughter does it. she does her own, and she's into TikTok, all that.
Yeah.
My son doesn't do much social media,
Gotcha.
but I've asked her to help.
I was gonna say that's such a valuable resource because like I lean on him sometimes and he laughs at me. I'm like, because I'm older than you. I'm not that much older than you. Like where like I didn't grow up with.
Put it this way, I'm
Facebook and
closer.
Instagram.
I'm closer in age to his daughter than I am to him.
Yeah.
So
But I
Yeah.
mean, it's just so in tune with that
Yeah.
generation where
Right.
like it would take me a little bit longer to figure out or what works good or what should I,
Right.
yeah. Yeah, and I just have like a general knowledge of how this stuff operates. So even if it's a new platform or something's different, I just know, okay, like
Yeah.
you gotta do this, you gotta do that. But
I don't
yeah.
even get involved with the new platforms.
I mean, hey, now you can go back to your kids and be like, "Hey, I was on the Marathon Mortgage Happy Hour," and
Oh, they
they're
think
gonna
it's
go.
so cool
they're
that
gonna
I'm
go,
on
"Oh
YouTube."
my god, you're
They-
so famous."
No, they hated happy hour at the Hammonds. They would beg us to stop. Begged. They're like, stop posting stuff.
There's a bunch of nasty
boo-hoo.
comments from your
Yeah.
kids.
Oh, they hated it.
They're flagging your video.
Yes,
Nah.
hated it.
I love it. I love
Whenever
it when
you
my-
see a reel, if I put a reel out, it's half-assed. Like I just kind of figured it out, and it's probably really bad.
That's
but
awesome. No,
I
keep
try.
doing it.
Yeah, there's
Keep
going to
doing
be a switch over because my kids are 6 and 3. So eventually they'll get to where your kids are at and they won't want to see any of that. But
Yeah.
now they think it's cool.
I love it when my boomer dad sends me videos of him cooking. Oh, what's going on, guys? I'm like, oh.
He does not do that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, please send me those.
Yeah, to text. Yeah, I'll show you them. I'll show you them.
My dad still has a flip phone. He has a
Yeah.
flip phone. You know how hard it is to find a flip phone?
Sometimes I
That rules.
fantasize about that. But you can't do it.
phone.
You won't be successful. In
I used to have the
industry.
big phone with the brick on the back, battery. 03, getting out of school.
Yeah,
Thought I was
gray,
so
and it was
cool.
like triangular,
Yeah.
trap. It looks like a trapezoid.
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Talking about Nokia.
No, I'm talking about
No,
1993. Sorry.
prior to that. Yeah, I mean the first
Bag
phone.
phone?
No, I didn't have a bag phone, but I had the phone with like the big heavy battery, and I paid like $200 a month for
Giant
20
one.
minutes.
Yeah, the giant one. Yeah, and then my dad has a bag phone at the house.
What's a bag phone?
Bag phone? Yeah, it's before your time, kid.
Yeah, I never had a bag phone, but I know what they look like.
It's like legitimately a bag, like a leather
Mm-hmm.
bag like this big, and it has a phone. You like open it up, and the phone's in there, and you can plug it into your car.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to plug it into your car and call people. Yeah, there you go, history lesson. Yeah. But
When I worked at I worked at Burson Marsteller right out of school in New York, and I worked for the CFO, Burson Marsteller, worldwide CFO. He's a pretty big guy. And he's like, do you have a driver's license? I'm like, 24. I'm like, yeah, why? Because a lot of people in New York don't have driver's
don't, yeah.
license.
yeah,
I'm like, why? He's like, I need you to take his brand new BMW. It was like one that was in like a James Bond movie. It was like some really expensive BMW. He's like, I need you to take it to Midtown, get a car phone installed, wait for it, bring it back. I'm like, no problem. I take that car, I drive it, I get the phone installed, and then for 3 more hours, drove around Manhattan picking friends up.
Oh my God, you were asking to get
driving.
fired.
I was like
The best thing that happened to you
24.
after college. You're like,
I
I'm
like-
gonna get fired quick this
I
week.
was like a honey badger. I did not care. I was like, who gives a shit? I was driving around picking people up, and I'm calling them on his phone in their office. I'm like, yo, meet me on the corner. I'm in a black BMW. And they come down, they're like, what?
Back then it was like ticking minutes. It was
Oh,
costing him every
yes,
phone call that you
yes.
made to your friend.
And so I finally get back around like 4:30. He's like, that took a long time. I'm like, I know.
There's no way to track it.
He's like, did you make sure it works? I'm like, yep, works great. Like he would never, I mean, unless he checked his phone bill, but he would
I'll
never
send him.
know.
Yeah,
he had
I'll send him
something
this
like
clip.
Yeah, yeah.
We can find out who that is.
I don't even know if he's alive now, but it was so great.
That's hilarious.
Funny. How long did you live in New York for?
I don't know, 5 or 6 years.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, solid. Where at? Manhattan or Bronx?
Manhattan. I
Yeah.
lived
Upper East Side.
Upper West Side for a while.
Right.
Then I lived on the Upper East Side.
Bougie.
My Upper West Side was a sublet. They were a lot of them were sublets because it's hard to get an apartment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I get in this one sublet, which was really nice brownstone on Central Park West, and like in the 90s, I forget, maybe 95th. And we're in there for a couple weeks, and we start getting these magazines with like a brown cover, like you can't see the cover, where they're porno magazines. Apparently, we were subletting it. Used to be a brothel, like an underground brothel. And I always wondered why there was like a bowl of individually wrapped lifesavers by the door when we rented from these people. And there was like holes in all the rooms where cameras used to be.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never dawned on me. I was like so
Why would
naive.
you think that?
And then like other neighbors were like telling us how it was a brothel. I'm like, what?
God, I
and
hope
then
that place
like
got clean.
weird men started like knocking on our door at like 2, 3 in the morning, and I was like, how much were you gonna pay? Like I wanted to know.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, they moved on. I don't know where they are now. It was like this whole underground,
Whoa.
I feel like that's like a
brothel
very
thing.
New York City story.
Yeah.
That's a great clip right there. That'll do well on Instagram.
That was a sublet. But then I left. I went Upper East Side. I was there for a few years in that one by myself. Yeah.
nice.
And then back to the homestead, Newtown.
And back to Newtown.
Yep. Forever and ever.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was fun. New York was a good time. I don't know if I would do it now.
Yeah.
New York's different now. But when I was
Yeah.
there, it was fun.
I just talked to someone who were qualified and they live up in the Bay Area and San Francisco area. And I used to live there as well. And I was like, oh yeah, like you used to live here. And she's like, you've been back there in a while. So it's like a lot of those cities are kind of taking a hit during COVID and people
Yeah.
exiting and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I had a lot of friends calling me to get out of New York during COVID.
yeah.
They wanted to like rent somewhere for all summer. They're like, we need a place for 3 months.
Yep.
Like, we got to get out of here.
My buddy has a place in Belmar and he said there was all people coming from New York.
Yeah.
Yep.
100%.
We're all working from home. Might as well do it at the beach.
Yeah.
And would rent it all year round. And he's like, I don't have to rent it weekly now. Like forget it.
Yeah.
6-month leases.
I feel like I lived in New York during the golden years, right? So there was no cell phones, so nobody knew where you
Yeah.
were. You couldn't be tracked. Nobody got photos or videos of you doing dumb shit, right?
Yeah. That's true.
It was like everybody had tons of money. It was like late 90s. I worked for Goldman. Everyone had company cards. Like we go to happy hour and charge like a grand, $2,000 easy. And like they're like, yo, you want to go outside? I'm like, who's paying? They're like, Uncle Goldman. I'm like, I'm in.
All right. Where's
was
Uncle
nice.
Tom at?
Right?
We need Tom Hal's number. Or,
This is the stuff that makes me despise boomers.
I know, right? We had a
Where
good
was
life.
I? Yeah. Yeah.
But like
hey,
then I wish I was like alive during Studio 54. I missed that whole
Yeah.
era. So
Interesting. Well,
That's a fun game to play.
yeah,
at
right.
least I'm in this era, right?
Yeah.
I know.
I mean,
But, like,
it's a pretty good era.
Everyone knows where you are. Like, you know, it's
I
hard
know.
to
I
disappear.
hate it. Yeah.
Right?
You hate it, but you're involved in
Like
all.
if you're like dating a
You have
psych-
to be.
like if you have
That's
a
the
psycho
thing.
girlfriend, like you're not getting rid of her unless you change your number,
Oh yeah. You tell.
right?
Yeah.
This could be a really long podcast.
Yeah.
What a
yeah, maybe I
nightmare.
shouldn't tell that story on air, but I did have a girl one time send me a picture of where I worked and was like, "Hey, I'm here." And I was like, "Whoa, what are
See?
you doing? Yo, what do you mean? Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always
Easy.
said if I could be born, I would want to be born in like the early 50s, so I could do like the whole like 60s hippie,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
California, like the
Yeah.
beatnik thing. Like that would be.
If I was to be born, I'd want to be born in 30 BC. I'd go hang out with the Romans and Jesus, and yeah. So
I'd only want to do that if I was a rich Roman. I don't want to be a slave in that
Yeah.
era.
yeah, because
I'm
he
not
would have
ending up
been
in the
he would
Colosseum.
have been born in 33 AD or BC. So yeah. So then I would have just hung out with baby Jesus. I would have saved him, maybe built some homes with him.
I think I would have liked to have been in the 20s during like Prohibition and be with gangsters.
All right.
That's a little dangerous,
And
but
like
I like
bootleg,
it.
like bootleg.
Okay.
I like
that
it.
would be fun, right?
Yeah, Gina doesn't seem too scared to me. You know? I think she's in for that. Yeah. Or maybe I'd want to be born in like 17,000 BC and go ride a dinosaur or something. That'd be pretty sick.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah.
I don't think.
I hope you have like good survival skills.
Oh yeah.
Oh, if out of the three of us, he's surviving.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I'll be good.
Yeah.
I'll be good.
I
I
could
think
not.
that's a good end of the podcast. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. That works for me.
There you go.
Yeah.
Anything to add? Anything exciting coming up? Any fun listings? Any
Let me think.
any fun summer plans?
Just going to the beach, no fun. I mean, fun, but it's just like
Sounds fun to me.
Just
Yeah, I
like a
was gonna say,
different
what?
house I got to cook and clean in. It's not really fun for me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. I guess.
mean, it's not like I'm a kid having fun.
Yeah.
Let's see. I have a couple new listings coming up. I can't think of. I'm going brain dead right now, about where they are. One in Newtown. I'll tell you about it once I get everything signed. A couple in New Hope. I did just have a closing that was very sweet. The guy was really old. He was like 94. He got a little teary-eyed.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Then I got teary-eyed. Everyone got teary-eyed.
It was a nice one.
I felt bad. Yeah, but it was beautiful street. Catalosa Road, like gorgeous.
Cool.
But yeah, that's it.
That actually, we normally end on a win. That was a good win there.
Yeah.
Was that a good win?
Yeah, that was a great win.
I didn't tell you any of my bad stories. bad ones.
Maybe we'll have her on next time.
Next time,
For the
I
bad
got naked stories. I got a lot of.
Yeah.
All right, well, here we go. We'll book you again.
Book me again.
We'll tell you, hey, the theme of this podcast is crazy stories.
Okay, yeah.
You come with a couple bangers, and we'll get into it.
Okay, sounds good.
Let's do
Thanks
it.
for having me.
Thank you very much for coming
Thanks
on.
for coming on.
Cheers.
Cheers. I'm glad we didn't blow it on
Empty
the beer.
glass.
Cheers.
Empty
Yeah,
glass.
I like the beer.